you, Father.
How many of us felt a little troubled by this gospel reading we just had? I mean, let's reread the last part. Do not go into pagan territory or enter into a Samaritan town. Well, if that were what was followed, none of us here would be Christians, would we? Because pagan territory led to us being Christians. What I would like to pose for you today from this gospel reading is the reality that sometimes we say things to our in-group that feel nice at the time but end up making an out-group, right? So the Gospel of Matthew, written specifically to Jewish folks, to early Jewish Christians, makes them feel comfortable, right? In a church that was quickly becoming a more numerously pagan church or non-Jewish Christian converts. That was becoming the massive numbers, or the biggest mass at the time. The Gospel of Matthew was written to say, hey, this is for us, right? We are a part of this. It was written to a Jewish audience, a product of a Jewish community. And there's nothing wrong with writing to our in-group, but it's important to have historical context. How many of us know of things in the Bible that have been used to malign, to marginalize, and to denigrate? I think specifically today of the way our sisters, brothers, and other siblings in the trans community are being treated. And I read this message and think, wait a minute, let's jump backwards to Paul. Instead of don't enter a Samaritan town, Paul is telling us that Christ has died for everyone. So it's important to take nuance when we read gospel or any other scriptures, right? Let's rethink the way that this gospel, according to Matthew, might be stated in the context of other gospels like Luke and John. In the Gospel of Luke, we hear the story of a Good Samaritan. The story of the Good Samaritan is an ironic name because Samaritans were not thought of to be good. Just look here to find out. Let's read the story of the Good Samaritan in the context of the Gospel of Matthew, bringing in the many forms of Christian expression that we see here today. So if we think of a bishop, we have John here. We think of a priest, we have Father Jamie, myself, and Father Roy. And we think of a deacon, Deacon Stephen. And then we think of a person who is experiencing homelessness, who doesn't find any home in the church, who finds the church marginalizing them. Now we've got these pictured in our head, right? These four characters. Now, let's imagine that a businessman, was walking down a road. He stumbles and falls. He hurts himself, knocks himself out, gets amnesia, and is unable to know who to call. Bishop John comes along and says, I don't need to help him. Someone else will come along. Sorry, but a bishop comes along and says, no, he'll be fine. Surely Father Brett, when he comes along, will help. But no, Father Brett walks along, sees him, and says, I'm confident that the ministry of the church has got you. Somebody else is coming along. There are services out there. Then Deacon Stephen, but not really this one, right? Another deacon sharing the same name, comes along and says, oh, I see you here. Look, I know that somebody's going to be along in just a little bit, but I got to go somewhere. And so he just kind of doesn't even look. Walks fast. Tells himself mentally these things. Never talks to him. Then our homeless person, our person experiencing homelessness, who's never been in a church or maybe hasn't been in one in 30 years, comes along, sees this man, this businessman, fallen over amnesic, unable to take care of himself, unable to find support. Right? This guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's looking up kind of in a daze. He says to him, "Sir, can I help you find a phone?" "Oh, yeah, I've been around looking. Nobody wants to share their phone with me. I don't know who to call." The person experiencing homelessness tells him, "Let's walk down to find someone who can get you a phone." And it takes 20 or 30 businesses before finally one person is willing to share the line, to make that call. He makes that call, and what has he done? He's helped a stranger. Someone that's not easy to help. Someone that is challenging to assist. But who assisted him? Not the ones that we think should have, not the ones we deem holy, not those a part of the in-group. Were they? They were instead the outcasts, the marginalized, that actually helped the ones that we are called to minister to, those in need. Who was doing the marginalizing? It was the church in my story, right? Though the existence of priests, bishops, and deacons are needed, necessary, helpful, relevant even, without proper context, they're meaningless titles. Without proper context to understand that a deacon is called into service as much as a bishop and vice versa, and all the way in between. We lose the proper understanding that there's more to it than just a title. There's more to it than saying I go to church. I'm not here to be here. I'm in sacred space so that I might walk in the world in a sacred manner, right? Returning back to the reading today, we see that Jesus tells us the kingdom of heaven is at hand. To go out and minister, he offers forms of ministries. So in proper context, what this might actually say, just like a re-envisioning of the Good Samaritan, is that those who are with us today, the family of Holy Family, you're not here to be here. You're here to be in the world. Let's gather our Holy Family together and go and find those in need. That's what Jesus was saying, and that's what the authors of the Gospel of Matthew were trying to convey in language that might feel marginalizing. And let's make it even more specific. The kingdom of heaven is at hand, and Holy Family, it is our obligation as Christians to find those that are being marginalized, especially our trans siblings today, and to welcome and include them and to advocate for them. Because how can we make the proclamation the kingdom of heaven is at hand? How can we believe that Christ died for all if we make all have an asterisk? Amen?
Amen.